5 Stars on Game Day One is brought to you by Veolia. Be sure to click on to veolia.us to learn more about their conservation program today to learn how to save money and save water. 5 Stars of the week in Section 1 basketball. We are at the final week of the regular season. Weather could be a factor here over the next few days. It could shake things up in bracketology. We might have games not being rescheduled. Let's hope the snow holds out until next week, and hopefully not in the playoffs as well. We have 5 Stars brought to you by Veolia, a very exciting week. We have some players their teammates have made 5 Stars this year, and now it's their turns. We start with from Suffern, Jeph. And Jeph, if Suffern's going to be a real factor in the Class AAA playoffs, yes, Jake Pampolina, we've had him on 5 Stars in the past. He's a terrific all-around scorer, but they need a second guy. You can't do it with one player in Class AAA. You really can't do it with two. But Jeph has come on strong this past week. Since they lost to North Rockland, he has been on a bit of a tear defensively and offensively. 18 points, 4 assists, 3 steals in a win over Clarkstown South on Friday. He comes back less than 24 hours later. He puts up 23 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals on Saturday against Mamaroneck. But what really separated himself and what really impressed me was how good he was defensively in that game against Mamaroneck. They kept Suffern in it until the final minute, and then the Tigers pulled away at home for a 60-56 win. Suffern, though, they're right there. They are right there. If Joseph's going to play this well, I think the Mounties could be a very dangerous team. Next, we move on in our 5 Stars. It's Heilakka from Hastings, a player who I've watched all season long. Now, Heilakka's interesting because I know he had skill, and obviously his Hastings team is graduated so much talent, and they were going to go through some bumps in the road along the way. They did throughout the month of December. They sort of have come on strong here in January now to February. Heilakka leads Hastings on a 2-0 week. They beat Irvington. They beat Edgemont, two teams that are just right neck and neck with them. They sweep the Irvington Bulldogs on the season. They beat them 57-48 on Tuesday. Heilakka, 26 points, 10 rebounds, 5 steals. Follows that up on Friday night by dropping 21 points in a win over Edgemont. 2 quality victories for this Hastings team that I don't know if they win these games in the early part of the season. Heilakka, first time having 20 points plus in back-to-back games. He's had good games. He's had down games. He's been sort of up and down throughout the season. But he seems like he is peaking, and he has maybe sort of figured things out here as the focal point of this Hastings offense. And the Yellow Jackets have a big week ahead. Dobbs Ferry, Bronxville, Valhalla to close out the season. No reason to think that they couldn't even go 3-0 in those games the way that Heilakka and this team is playing. Bronxville's going to be a tough one. Dobbs obviously be tough, but don't count out Hastings right now with Heilakka. Next member of our 5 Stars, we go to Rochelle and Malik Gasper. Now listen, he's been on the 5 Stars before. He's probably maybe the front runner to win Mr. Basketball in Section 1 this season. And really, we saw last week just the versatility in his game. After losing to Mount Vernon the week before, led them to a 3-1 week. That one loss, of course, was to Mount St. Michael out of the Catholic League. They beat Spring Valley. He had 28 and 17 with 3 blocks. Against Mount St. Michael in a loss, 26 and 18. Against Rye in a win on Friday night, 26 and 13, and then Saturday comes back. He has 25 and 17 rebounds with 3 blocks against Salesian on Saturday. So impressed with what I've seen out of Malik Gasper. Just game in, game out. Maybe the most consistent player in all facets this season in Section 1. You put him on the short list, but the guy like Jake Sussberg, those two are going to be kind of neck and neck for that Mr. Basketball award. Should be a lot of fun down the stretch. Team that's come on strong of late as well. Clarkstown North, Rotimi, Esiso. I love what I've seen out of him. He makes the coach, the BCNY team over the summer, and a little bit of a surprise, not a surprise, but like if you didn't know him, you see him on that roster, and he really proved himself there, and he has really proved himself in the second half of this season and taken Clarkstown North now into contention in Class AA in Section 1. He's a 6'5" junior guard, 3-0 last week. Big win over Clarkstown South, their rival, 14 points, 13 rebounds in a 12-point win back on February 1st. Then on Tuesday, 25 points, 17 rebounds in an overtime win over Spring Valley. He made some big plays down the stretch in that game. Spring Valley came from a huge deficit to force overtime, and Esiso helps win the game late. Friday night, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, really stuffing the stat sheet in a win over Ramapo. And North is now 10-8 with Suffern and North Rockland to close out the season. They're 7-2 against Class AA teams. Their league schedule is a lot of AAA schools. They face some really good A schools. But North, when they're in their conference, they're a dangerous team, and they should be a lot of fun to watch and maybe a threat to pull off an upset in the playoffs. And our final member of the 5 Stars this week, we go to Briarcliff, Xavier Prekelezaj. Prekelezaj is how you say the last name from Briarcliff. He's been great. I mean, when you look at Briarcliff's big wins in the season, Prekelezaj has been in the middle of it. Obviously, Luke Lawler has been great all season long. He's made 5 stars over the course of this season. But Prekelezaj hits the big shot against Pleasantville. They really played well down the stretch after a slow start in that game for Briarcliff. Hits a huge 3 late in the game that makes a great block on the final possession to preserve the victory. He goes on. He puts 12 points up on the board in a win over Valhalla, a blowout victory. 18 points on Saturday on Senior Day against Hamilton. The Bears have won 5 in a row and jumped up to the number 3 seed in Class B. And when Prekelazaj is involved, Briarcliff is a threat. And don't count them out as a team that can make the county center, maybe even make a championship game. It's going to be a fun playoffs. We have about 1 week to go until we find out the seed. A little over a week to go until we find out the seeds in Section 1. Very excited. Best time of the year. We're almost there. We'll see you soon.